Hey guys, so this is going to be the episode 1 of me reading out loud The Wings of Fire Dragonette Prophecy by T. Sutherland. I already did an introduction video. If you haven't seen that, go watch it because it explains the dragon tribes and the map. And you won't understand it if you haven't watched it. So go back and watch that real quick. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to begin reading the prologue. A dragon was trying to hide in the storm. Lightning flickered across the dark clouds. Hiviter, don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, clutched his fragile cargo closer. If he could make it over the mountains, he'd be safe. He'd escape the Sky Dragon's palace unseen, and the secret cave was so close. But his theft has not been as stealthy as he thought, and eyes as black as obsidian were already tracking him from below. The enormous dragon on the mountain ledge had pale gold underscales that radiated heat like a desert horizon. Her black eyes narrowed, watching the gleam of silver wings far up in the clouds. She flickered her tail, and behind her 2 more dragons rose to the sky and dove into the heart of the storm. A piercing shriek echoed off the mountains as their talons seized the moon-pale ice dragon. "Bind his mouth," the waiting dragon ordered as her soldiers dropped Hitver on the sleek, wet ledge in front of her. He was already inhaling, ready to attack. "Quickly!" One of the soldiers grabbed a chain from the pile of smoldering coals. He threw it around the ice dragon's snout, clamping his jaws together with a sizzling smell of burning scales. Hitver let out a murdering scream. Too late, the sand dragon's forked tongue slithered in and out of her mouth. "You won't be using your freezing death breath on us, ice dragon." "He was carrying this, Queen Byrne," said one of the soldiers, handing her dragon egg. Byrne squinted at the egg through the downpour. "This is not an Ice Wing egg," she hissed. "You stole this from the Skywing Palace." An Ice Wing stared back at her. Hissing steam circled his snout where the hot chains met cold silver scales. "You thought you got away unnoticed, didn't you?" Byrne said. "My Skywing ally is not a fool. Queen Scarlet knows everything that happens in her kingdom. Her lookouts reported an Ice Wing thief sneaking away, and I decided finding you might add some violence to my boring visit." Byrne held up the large egg up to the light of the fire and turned it slowly. Red and gold shimmered below the pale, smooth surface. "Yes, this is a Skywing egg about to hatch," Byrne mused. "Why would my sister send you to steal a Skywing dragonette? Blaze hates any dragon younger and prettier than she is." She thought for a moment as rain drummed on the ledge around them, unless the brightest night is tomorrow. Her tail flicked up like a scorpion's poisonous barb inches from Hitver's eyes. "You're not in Blaze's army, are you? You're one of those insipid underground peace-mongers." "The talons of peace," said one of the soldiers. "You mean they're real?" Byrne snorted. "A few worms crying over a little blood. Unwrap his chains. He won't be able to freeze us until his scales cool down." The enormous sand dragon leaned closer as her soldier pulled the chain away. "Tell me, Ice Dragon, do you really believe in that pompous old Nightwing's prophecy?" "Haven't enough dragons died in your war?" snarled Hitver, rinsing at the pain in his jaws. "All of Furia has suffered for the last 12 years. The prophecy says—" "I don't care. No prophecy decides what happens to me," Byrne interrupted. "I'm not letting a bunch of words or baby dragons choose when I die or what I bow to. We have peace, so my sisters are dead, and I am queen of the Sand Wings." Her venomous tail dipped closer to the silver dragon. Rain pattered on Hitler's scales. He glared up at her. "The dragonettes are coming, whether you like it or not, and they'll choose who the next Sandwing Queen should be." "Really?" Byrne stepped back and turned the egg slowly between her talons. Her forked tongue slipped in and out of her sly smile. "So, Ice Wing, is this egg a part of your pathetic prophecy?" Hitver went still. Byrne tapped lightly on the eggshell with one talon. "Hello," she called. "Is there a dragonette of destiny in there, ready to come out into this big bad war?" "Leave it alone," Hitver choked out. Tell me, Byrne said, what because of your precious prophecy if one of the 5 dragonettes is never hatched at all? You wouldn't, he said. No one would harm a dragon egg. His blue eyes were fixed desperately on her talons. No wings of sky to help save the world, Byrne said. What a sad, sad story. She began tossing the egg from one front claw to the other. I guess that means you should be very, very careful with this terribly important little oops. With an exaggerated lunge, Byrne pretended the wet egg was slipping through her talons, and then she let it fall over the side of the cliff into the rocky darkness below. No! Hitler shrieked. He threw off the 2 soldiers and flung himself toward the ledge. Byrne slammed her massive claws down on his neck. So much for destiny, she smirked. So much for your tragic little movement. You're a monster, the Ice Wing gasped, writhing in pain under her talons. So cracked despair. We'll never give up. The dragonettes will come and stop this war. Byrne leaned down to hiss in his ear. Even if they do, it'll be far too late for you. Her claws ripped through the silver dragon's wings, shredding them as Hitler shrieked in agony. With a swift movement, she stabbed a poisonous tail through his skull and flung the long silver body over the edge of the cliff. The ice dragon's screams cut off long before the echoes of its corpse slamming into the rocks below. The sandwing turned her black eyes to her soldiers. Perfect, she said. That should be the last we hear about that stupid prophecy. She held out her talons so the rain could wash away the glistening dragon blood. Let's go find something else to kill. The 3 dragons spread their wings and lifted off onto the dark clouds. Sometime later, far below, a dragon the color of rust crawled over the rocks to the broken body of the ice dragon. She nudged his tail aside and lifted a shard of eggshell from underneath it, then slipped back into the labyrinth of caves under the cliffs. Stone walls brushed against her wings. She breathed out a plume of flame to light her way along the dark passage deep into the mountains. I stand with the talons of peace, hissed a voice in the shadows. Kestrel, is that you? Will you await the wings of fire? Answered the red dragon. A blue-green sea wing emerged from the side of the cave, and she tossed the eggshell at his feet. Not that it'll do us much good now, she snarled. Hitler's dead. The sea wing stared at the eggshell. But the skywing egg broken, she said. Gone. It's over, Webs. It can't be, he said. Tomorrow is the brightest night. The 3 moons will all be full for the first time in a century. The dragonettes of prophecy have to hatch tomorrow. Well, one of them is already dead, Kestrel said, rage flickering in her eyes. I knew I should have stolen the skywing egg myself. I know the Sky Kingdom. They wouldn't have caught me a second time. Webs grimaced, scratching one claw over the gills along his neck. Asha is dead, too. Asha! A spurt of flame shot from Kestrel's nose. How? Caught in a battle between Blazes and Blister's forces on the way here. She still made it with the red mudwing egg, but she died of her wounds soon after. So it's just you, me, and Dune to raise the little worms, Kestrel growled, for a prophecy that can never be fulfilled. Let's break the cursed eggs now and be done with it. We'll be long gone before the talons of peace return for the dragonettes. No, Webs hissed. Keeping the dragonettes alive for the next 8 years is more important than anything. If you don't want to be part of that, all right, enough, Kestrel snapped. I'm the strongest dragon in Talons of Peace. You need me. It doesn't matter how I feel about the nasty little dragonettes. She eyed the eggshell on the floor, rubbing her scarred palms together, although at least I thought one of them would be a skywing. I'll find us a 5th dragonette, Webs pushed past her, scales scraping against a rock. There's no way back into the Sky Kingdom, brainless, she said. They'll be guarding the hatchery closer now. They'll get the eggs somewhere else, he said grimly. The rainwings don't even count their eggs. I could take one from the rainforest without anyone noticing. Of all the horrible ideas, Kestrel said with a shudder. Rainwings are wretched creatures, nothing like skywings. We have to do something, Webb said. He hissed as his tail sent the eggshell skittering across the floor. In 8 years, the Talons of Peace will come looking for the 5 dragonettes. The prophecy says 5, and we're going to make it true, whatever it takes. Okay, everybody, that was the prologue for The Dragonette Prophecy, Wings of Fire by T. Sutherland. Go watch the next episode. I'm going to make a playlist of all of these in order. Subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Bye!